Sponsor Beetle. Sponsor is a genus of beetles in the family Bupristidae. It belongs within the tribe Paratracheinae within the subfamily Polycestinae and contains the following species. Sponsor Eniventris discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Eneolus discarpentries, 1969. Sponsor Aeneas Garin Meniville, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840, 40, 1840, 1840, T T T in 40 T T T 40 40 40 in 40. Sponsor Aluwadi Karimans, 1894. Sponsor Ambigos Lesnie, 1937. Sponsor Androensis Lesnie, 1937. T7. Sponsor Antiponensis discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Antonala discarpentries, 1969. Sponsor Entelme Lesnie, 1918. Sponsor Anthracinus discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Ansi Hanaka discarpentries, 1957. Sponsor Ater discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Orabaces discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Betsemis araca discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Bicolor discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Burgeony 3 and Lesnie, 1937. Sponsor Carolescens Garin Meniville, 1840. In 40 in 40 T 40 teen 40 teen 40 in 40 teen 40 teen 40 T teen 40 teen 40. Sponsor Calo discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Carbonarius 3, 1905. Sponsor Carii Lesnie, 1918. Sponsor Chalceus discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Chalabius discarpentries, 1969. Sponsor Cabosi Bellamy, 1998. Sponsor Convexus Gori and Laporte, 1839, 39 and 39. Sponsor Cupria violaceus discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Cupria virides discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Cupripes discarpentries, 1957. Sponsor Cyaneus discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Cyanipes discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Diplanetus 3, 1905. Sponsor Dermastoids Lesnie, 1918. Sponsor Disjardinceae Garin Meniville, 1840. Sponsor Dissimales 3, 1931. Sponsor Distinctus discarpentries, 1969. Sponsor Elegans discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Elongatus discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Emma discarpentries, 1957. Sponsor Emerezi Lesnie, 1918. Sponsor Epicurius discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Epistemales discarpentries, 1957. Sponsor Fulgens Fairmere, 1899. Sponsor Fusiformis Lesnie, 1924. Sponsor Gagates discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Gemetis discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Genasi Novek, 2002. Sponsor Grandis Lesnie, 1937. Sponsor Granulocalis discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Gyronoids Lesnie, 1918. Sponsor Ignipes discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Indicus Lesnie, 1937. Sponsor Iridius caramans, 1902. Sponsor Janthinus Fairmere, 1886. Sponsor Caramancy 3, 1905. Sponsor Lepidus Lesnie, 1918. Sponsor Lesnie 3, 1931. Sponsor Lives discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Macfadiani Bellamy, 2004. Sponsor Melartici Lesnie, 1922. 22. Sponsor Mammoty discarpentries, 1957. Sponsor Mandarinus Lesnie, 1924. Sponsor Marksaki Helinsky, 1997. Sponsor Melanopus discarpentries, 1965. Sponsor Metalinus Fairmere, 1900. Sponsor Mirabilis discarpentries, 1969. Sponsor Montanus Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Montecola Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Montevagus Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Niger Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Nigrocalis Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Negronius Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Nigrocianius Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Oblongus Caramans, 1902. Sponsor Paralis Lesny, 1937. Sponsor Parvulus Garin Meneville, 1840. Sponsor Perrier Fairmare, 1902. Sponsor Pexipnes Lesny, 1937. Sponsor Periarasi Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Pycia Fisher, 1922. Sponsor Pilosolus Caramans, 1914. Sponsor Pinguis Garin Meneville, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840, 1840. Sponsor Pseudolongatus Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Pseudopistomales Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Pubescens Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Pulcher Lesny, 1937. Sponsor Pupa Lesny, 1924. Sponsor Purpurapenes Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Pygmaeus Lesny, 1922. Sponsor Raffray Thury, 1931. 31. Sponsor Reunionensis Disc Carpentries, 1957. T7. T7. Sponsor Rodriganus Lesny, 1918. Sponsor Rufipes Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Rufotarsus Lesny, 1918. Sponsor Rutilans Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Satanas Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Semistrigosus Fairmare, 1902. Sponsor Senescens Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Senales Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Seratius Caramans, 1894. Sponsor Setasulis Lesny, 1937. Sponsor Sarigi Disc Carpentries, 1957. Sponsor Similes Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Somaliensis Home and Wenzel, 1991. Sponsor Splendens Garin Meneville, 1840. Sponsor Superellus Lesny, 1918. Sponsor Succinicola Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Thury Lesny, 1937. Sponsor Tristes Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Vedoni Lesny, 1937. Sponsor Vedonianus Disc Carpentries, 1957. D7. Sponsor Vetustus Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Vitos Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Viate Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Viui Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Velocis Lesny, 1922. Sponsor Vinsoni Lesny, 1937. Sponsor Violaceipnes Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Violaceus Fairmare, 1903. Sponsor Viridinus Disc Carpentries, 1969. Sponsor Viridiaratus Disc Carpentries, 1965. Sponsor Viridicorolans Disc Carpentries, 1965. References equals